Morning, everybody. We're having some crazy weather here in Arizona, like actually having rain in June. So it's actually been quite relaxing. I woke up in the middle of the night and I had my window open because it was cooler and it was basically raining through the window. And there's this cool thing that happens here in Arizona that because we don't have rain, when it does rain, it's like the smells are incredible. Um, you just put a little moisture in the air and then you realize how beautiful the desert could be. And there's some amazing plants here that just they also just release all these, I guess they call them plant pheromones when it rains too. So it's been quite a beautiful morning. um, and I've been thinking a lot about this whole class. We just did 10 classes on Lojong, which has been, you know it's hard. Like, this is not an I don't know how you've experienced it, but typically when I teach, it's like the things that roll out of my mouth are also are also things that I'm practicing, right? Because it's not just, they're just not like, oh, here's the next thing to do in ACI. It's like, how do I practice it? Right. And so it becomes my living practice when I'm teaching, right? Whereas the course that's coming up next, ACI 15, is called The Art of Interpretation. So we're going to learn how to interpret what the Buddha really meant. We're going to learn, and that's coming up. Oh, Sandra, I'm so sorry. Difficult weeks the last 3 years. Yeah, mine been pretty bad too. you know, Bad's not the right word. It's just difficult, right? Because when you have to force yourself to look at the ways that you subtly treat yourself and others, right? And it's not because we're bad people. It's just this, like, it's just all of a sudden you just start watching these little blips in our mind, right? And those are the things that we're trying to transform, because those are the things that are stopping us from serving others, and those are the things that are stopping us, from actually being able to see the successes we want, both in the worldly success, right? Like, and then the larger spiritual ones too. So I think the next class begins. I just had this kind of fun. Like, what if I just gave you a promo for ACI 15 and then, like, said goodbye? Good, have a nice day. End class early. um, I think we're starting in September. Thank you, September 4th. Um, and it's not just about, hold on a second. The rain's coming in the house. The beauty of having a cat door. The wind's blowing and now the all the rain's coming in the house. Okay. Um, so it's not just about how do you interpret what the Buddha really meant, which is actually very, very important. But then it becomes the art of interpreting what did your teacher really mean? What did your teacher really mean when they said that? Were they being literal or were they being figurative? And that's a really, it becomes a very high skill to, like, listen to what the teacher has said to understand, like, were they actually telling me to do that, or were they just being figurative, or were they trying to tell me something else? Right? They were saying one thing, but they were actually saying something different. Right? And what does it mean to even ask that question? You know, because most of the time, not most of the time, but I would say a lot of the time, they're trying to get you to think through things. They're trying to get you to develop that skill on your own. Because at the end of the day, the the teachings are sounds, right? They are sounds that come out of a teacher's mouth. Those teachings have emptiness, right? Because someone could listen to them and be like, that's the most deepest thing ever, man. Or people could be like, well, that's kind of dumb, right? It really depends on the seeds that you have to listen, to understand, to embody them. Because all that the enlightened beings can do for us is teach, right? And your teacher is supposed to be, as your seeds get better and better, is supposed to be the representative of the Buddha for you, right? And so how do you interpret the message? Like, how do you interpret the messages? Like, what is that message in the bottle, right? That message that was put into a bottle, thrown overboard, floated in the ocean, and then arrived at your beach, right? What are those messages? And then how do you interpret what they mean? What did they really mean when they said that to me? And I've had people say to me, yeah, but you told me to do that. And I said, and I kind of just looked at them like, really? Is that really what I said? you know, and how do we develop that skill? And that's why that's also ACI 15. In a way, it's about how to relate with a teacher, how to relate with, because that's the final course. I mean, there's 3 review courses, but that's the final content course. Then you have basically the whole outline of the sutra path, which is then preparing you for the diamond way path, right? So it's not a coincidence that these last couple courses are they're fighting, sorry. um the last 3 courses are actually, the last 6 ones have been very difficult. Shanti Deva was all about, a guide to a bodhisattva's way of life, but really it was all about emptiness. And then ACI 13 was about how to think, how to use that thing between your ears, you know, so you can understand, like, what is it that you believe in that's not true? What are those belief systems? It's not about what other people say. Anyone that comes to me is like, someone said blah, 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 blah. I'm like, I don't care. I don't care what they said. Like, what's going on for you because of the thing that you thought you heard, right? And what belief systems are in play? Like, what's going on between your ears? The thoughts that you have about somebody else. Maybe, maybe there's some illogicalness to them, right? So learning how to think clearly and not about other people, but about yourself, about your understanding of the world, your understanding of emptiness and karma. Like, where are you blocked? Where is the light not shining inside of you? Why do you think things have to be this way to be happy? Right? Because they equally could be other ways and you could be happy too. Because the happiness doesn't come from where you thought the happiness came from. So, and then we move into ACI 14, which is what we just did. And then it's like, oh, let's do a light course after ACI 13. That was light, right? That wasn't as difficult. But it's the other way around, because now it's like, now you have to think. Now you have to go out into the world. Like ACI 13 is, private study, doing logic, thinking about what's going on. But ACI 14 is like, all right, now go live it and use that logic and then test yourself at every moment. And then you'll realize that your own tests are like, you're failing your tests. And then it gets depressing for a little bit. And not failing, it's actually the opposite. You're actually succeeding, right? You're succeeding because you're now seeing the ways in which your logic it's like misfiring. The way your behavior is misfiring. You thought that way was the right way, but when you think about it, it's this way, meaning seeds, right? Meaning good seeds. So that's why ACI 14 is so hard. And then ACI 15, which is coming up, is going to be like, all right, let's use all of that. And how do we relate to the teacher, the one who teaches us? How do we receive instruction from them? How do we interpret the instructions we receive? How do we plant the seeds to hear their instructions as secret messages in bottles? Right? How do we do all that? And then how to do it accurately, so we're not misunderstanding. And you will misunderstand your teacher. Don't worry. Right? So that's what we're up to, right? And then that relationship with the teacher is what carries you into diamond way practice, right? That's what you need. You need someone who can carry you and guide you. And they have to be the right glove. They have to be the right fit, right? Because you're opening your most precious and subtle spiritual real estate to them, right? And they have to fit, and they have to know you, and you have to know them, right? And then how do you develop that relationship? That's the most important thing. How do you develop that? Because they're the ones that teach you all the things you need to know to then transform yourself and transform your world. You see. So we went through several lojangs in this course. And I'm assuming, maybe since you're still here, I'm assuming that some of them resonated more than others. Maybe you had your favorite line, maybe you had your favorite little nugget of wisdom that you've been applying. So today, we're not going to review them directly. You can do that on your own. That's why we have recordings. That's why you're supposed to take notes, right? Pedagogy says that I should review it. But I'm more inclined to put that onto you. Review it with each other. Make study groups. Maybe there are some study groups already. Do the homeworks together. Every Friday, there's a group that I meet with that we do homeworks together with, right? What did the teacher say? What did they mean there? What is going on? You know, work it out with yourselves. Teach it to someone else. See, I saw, looks like you might be teaching it to someone else. I saw your Instagram post this morning, right? Teach it to someone else. Actually, I think it was more like 2:30 in the morning. I woke up wide awake and I was like, let's look at Instagram because that's the smartest thing to do to fall back asleep. Um, but yeah, work with each other. You need each other. Okay. And I'm not just being flippant because I want to teach something else. You know, you need to have each other to learn from each other. Like what did they really say there? I heard this. Well, I heard that. Well, we heard different things. What's the right thing? Marina. What's the right thing? The thing you heard or the thing Sandra heard? They're both right, you know, or they're both wrong. I don't know. But, so the ideas are like what the truth will come out in discussion with other people. That they say that the truth is greater than the lie. And eventually the truth comes out. Right. And that's why we need to work with each other to figure that out. Because the deeper you get into this, the less obvious things become, the less straightforward things become. Because you're dealing with your own karmic propensities, patterns, and configurations, right? Do you ever try to use somebody else's Macintosh? Go to someone's Mac and try to use it. They have it, all the shortcuts are configured for them. Like I go to someone else's computer and I have to remember what are the standard things because I create all of these unique shortcuts on my computer to do what I want it to do. Right. And then I do those things and then some weird behavior happens and I'm like, well, shit, what's going on here? And then someone goes on my computer and they do the same thing and they're like, Tim, your computer doesn't behave the same. And that's fine. And that's perfect. Right. Your behavior, your karma, your unique needs are unique to you. The buttons that you push to create certain experiences will be in different orders to other ones, to someone else's buttons. Right. So then it becomes a who's right, who's wrong. That's not the question anymore. Well, it never was the question. What are those uniquenesses for yourself? And how does the practice work for you? Like what gets your prana moving in a certain way? What gets you into a deep meditation? When is the best time for meditation for you? Is it first thing in the morning? Is it at sunset? Is it in the middle of the night. So there's not a there's a description, not a prescription. Okay. And so then you need to find that out for yourself. What works for you? What doesn't work for you? Like just because we said it in class, does it work for you? Like, how does it? Yes, there are standard things that seem to work and don't work. But what your obstacles are and what your purifications will be are going to be different than someone else's, you know, and it's going to be a different process. It's going to take different times, different emotions are going to come up, different fears are going to arise, you know, and it just takes time and it'll be unique to you and it'll be uniquely difficult for you as well. But there's not uniqueness in the way that things purify. And that's why you need each other to support each other. And that's why I'm asking you to study with each other, do your homeworks together. You need these ne lamas. I would call them the crucial point lamas, right? They're not your direct lamas. They're the people that you go to who know you very, very well. And they don't have to be super high practitioners, like in the sense of been around for 30 years. Your Dharma buddy could be your ne lama, the one that you call when you're having a meltdown. I can't believe this happened in class, and then no, 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 and you cry about it, and I don't know how you're gonna make those noises, translator. You know, the person that you whine to, you're allowed to whine. I have a person I whine to. We're allowed 8 minutes. Can I whine for 8 minutes? Yes. And then after 8 minutes, then it's like, okay, now let's let's are you done yet? No, I'm not done yet. Okay, well, let's give another 5 minutes. Right. But we need to express it, right? And we need to find those relationships, the people that who can support us in that. And your primary lama may not be that person. They might have 15. Yeah, that was beautiful. Um, you know, Geshe Michael has how he says 200,000 students, right? So he might have, he has probably about, I don't know, 100 or so people that are probably close students. Yes, Anastasia, perfect. Make a PMC. Prepare your presentation of your mental afflictions, 8 minutes. What's the core message? Intro, body, and close. What's the primary story you're going to tell that exhibits why your mental affliction is the most important mental affliction in the world? Right? Perfect. You know, but we need those relationships because our primary lamas may not always be available. Geshe Michael is not available for my 8 minute mental affliction PMC. He doesn't want it. It doesn't have time for it, right? You know, I had the cool karma that I got 20 minutes with him the other day because someone didn't show up for their meeting. That was great, right? Unplanned, right? 20 minutes. I got 20 minutes. And he guided the conversation. I didn't get to talk about what I wanted to talk about. He talked about what he wanted to talk about. Right. And so that I was like, but I mean, I carry a list of like, I have a checklist of things I'm like, I want to talk about. And normally I ask that question, those questions in my meditation, and look for the answers elsewhere, right? Does he answer me in class most of the time, right? A teacher can answer more questions in class than they can individually. Duh, right? If you can say the same thing once to 77 people, then you don't have to say it 77 times, and that's efficient, right? And of course, it feels like impersonal. It feels like, you know, distance, right? But that's not what's going on. You just need to shift your seats around it. So today, there's an idea that I had that I think would be a great introduction and sort of review of the Lojong, but something that could give you something deeper to think about in yourself, and possibly some seeds for some future practice as well. And what I want to so basically there there's five categories of, let's say, emotions. All right. And there's different, I don't know, I guess how to say it. There's different ways that you can, if you purify these general five categories, like you're basically purifying your heaps, like your parts, the parts of you. Right. And I've been thinking a lot on how to navigate this, in my own practice. Like, what are the things that hold me back? And generally the things that are the obstacles that hold me back or that get in my way boil down to certain types of fears, like fears that arise. Or, yes, I know how to do the thing. I know how to do the 4 steps. I know how to do the 4 powers. I know how to do Tonglen. I know how to do this. I know how to do the practices. I've been doing them for, high percentage of my life, right? I know how to do that, right? I know how to analyze seeds. I know how to look at things and be like, I wonder where that's coming from. What's the pattern? Why do I have to see that? Right. And then when you get stuck, right? What happens is we start getting stuck, right? Oh, I'm a bodhisattva. I do my bodhisattva vows. I keep all those things relatively well. I take care of people. I do all of those things, right? And then you still get stuck and you're like, what the hell am I stuck about? Right. And there's five primary fears, okay, that come up in patterns. And if anybody knows the five Buddha families, they're based in the five Buddha families. So I'm not pulling this out of nowhere, by the way. Okay. And so each of those, I'm calling it like the five great fears. Like, what are the five fears that hold us back? And I thought about this because we're doing Lojong, right? Like we have the freedom from the 4 attachments, right? Which is actually one of my favorites. Right. What else do we have here? We have that's the compendium of text. What else what are some of the other names we had, right? Um Free from the chains of attachment, right? But I really like that name of like the freedom. attachment to the four, the freedom. What is it called? I just said it out loud and I can't remember it. Freedom from the four attachments. Right. The 7-point practice, right? There's all these different numbers. So I like this one where it's like the 5 great fears. Like, what are those 5 great obstacles, emotional obstacles, fears, the things that keep you in planting bad seeds, that keep you planting the wrong, you're going in the wrong direction and you don't even know it. Like, that's the cool part. Cool part, I guess. You don't even know that you're doing it. And so it's kind of like a subtle, it's like an allergy. It's like pollen in the air. You know, you can't see it, you can't smell it. But then, like 2 or 3 days later, you're sneezing and you don't know why. You know, it's the same thing. Like, we have these fears within us that we don't even, they're so part of us. And that in some way we don't even, we're almost numb to it because it's just like, oh, that's just how it is. Or we're just like, oh, whatever, I'm just going to keep going. You know, so that's the, if we can identify what those things are in ourselves, then maybe our Lojong practice could be even more powerful because then we can identify them in other people. Right. Immediately when I was thinking about this and recognizing how ingrained these fears are in, and just in my day-to-day experience, in my decision making, the way I respond to people, the way I or don't respond to people, or I'm not going to say something, or I am going to say something, or I'm going to dance around it, or, you know, like it's wrong worldview, it's wrong thinking to not say something because you're afraid of the response you're going to get. The response that you get has nothing to do with what you said. Right? Like that difficult conversation with your partner, bringing up your deepest fears, or that difficult thing that you need, you know, to talk to your boss about, or even to admit to yourself, like the reaction you get, the fear that you have of the response is wrong thinking. Right? You don't know what you're going to get. Right? And so the fears overwhelm us and they keep us from reaching our full potential. And if you can purify each of those 5 groupings of the fears, of these fears, then, right, imagine what it'd be like to be free of that, like free from those 5 fears. Right. All right. So here's the first one. The first one is interesting. It's the fear that comes from misunderstanding appearances. Right. The fear to see things clearly, right? We all talk about wanting to see emptiness directly, but do we really want to see the way things really are? Right? It's like a fear of also being seen. Right? The fear that arises if someone knows the true me. Okay. And it's an interesting little play on or observation about the fear of misunderstanding understanding appearances. It's also a fear of misunderstanding of you're being misunderstood by other people. Like the fear of being seen, like being seen for the hot mess that you truly are underneath this facade that you created. That's just one way that's just one way, right? If people knew the true me, right, they wouldn't like me, they wouldn't love me, right? So then we contort ourselves to behave in certain ways to create an appearance that we think that other people will like. Right. And it's a it's deep. It's a deep, deep fear, right? I need to behave in a certain way for this other person. Like because we're in a relationship, because that's how you're supposed to be. Right. I'm not talking about devotional service to your partner. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about that. That's different. It's different. It's different feeling. I'm talking about the feeling of fear. I'm talking about the feeling that, I have to be something, I have to appear differently. I can't be me. Like, right. Right. And then there's the fear of not being seen, which is the corollary. They won't see me for who I truly am. They can't possibly know who I truly am. Right. And it's deeply embedded in us. Right. Right. And there's a misunderstanding in this fear as well. There's a misunderstanding that if I see things as empty, life will not have any meaning. Right. Right. And we know, like, we can say the words, right? We can say the words. We can say it is not true that there is a fixed me or mine, right? I'm not anything else but a mental projection that's forced upon me by my past karma, right? But that doesn't change the depth of the fear, right? To me, it does. It's never changed it. It doesn't address. I mean, logically, it addresses it, but when that fear comes up, forget it. Like it gets, it gets overwhelming. It's overpowering. Okay, we're not going to come up with the all the answers yet. Like today's class is more descriptive. These are the fears, and what I'd like you to do is like to think about it. Like think about it, and maybe in our Telegram groups or Vietnamese in your WhatsApp group. Maybe you can talk about it. Like, what are the seeds to overcome these fears? Like if you had the fear of being seen for who you really are, or the corollary, the fear of not being seen for who you really are, right? And I really believe that, like, that to really get at the emptiness of the self, that desire and wish to be seen and fully understood is a pathway to that, right? If you're hiding some part of yourself, how can you deconstruct it? can't, because you're hiding it. You're hiding it from yourself in a way, you see. But yeah, so maybe in those groups, someone could take these five, make a list of everything I say, post them, and then you can discuss it. Maybe you could create some images. Maybe you could create your own lojang around it. Like, what do you do to counteract those seeds? And more importantly, recognize that fear in other people, because we all have it. It wouldn't be the five great fears if we didn't all have them. Right. And when this fear dissolves, is that that all appearances arise and vanish, right? They arise and dissolve. Like there's no stain in those. They're just arisings. All those images are arising and falling away. There's nothing to hide. There never was anything to hide. Right. And how the hell are you going to become a Buddha who emanates for all other beings if you can't even emanate to yourself? Well, that was a weird thing that came out of my mouth. Anastasia, write that down. Okay. If you can't understand how you're emanating to yourself, how can you emanate for other people and really take care of them? Recognize these fears in them. Okay, next one. This fear is based in a fear of there actually isn't a self, a fear of no self, dakme. Like a fear that nothing is real. Right. And if you're honest with yourself, like as much as you might hold on to self-existence, right? this other fear of that everything is meaningless, that nothing is real. And more specifically, this is around like, if I disappear, what's left? What remains? Right. And I think this is a normal thing. Like it can manifest as a fear of death. Like what happens to me when I die? Like, does the world just blink out? Do I just blink out of existence? I don't care how much you've studied ACI for. This fear is so ingrained in us. And until you see emptiness directly, like that fear is going to still be there. Right. So there's a very, very deep, the fear of non-existence, the fear of no self, that the reality that is here is gone when I'm gone. And all the attachments that come up around that. Like watch. So I'm going to go through all five of these, but watch other people. You know, if you can't look at yourself, go watch other people. Go to a cafe, go to a Peachtree Cafe, Tim, after this class, right? And ask yourself these five questions, right? And you can see it in people's eyes, right? You'll see one of these, I promise. And I think that's the essence of Lojang, right? despite the fear that you have, you're going to go help other people with theirs. So like the opposite side of this one, you know, is that the wisdom of ultimate reality, when you touch it, is the world has pure emptiness. It's free from the appearances that are coming at you, and it has boundless potential, right? But you could say those words, and I know you all do, and you're good at it. But what happens when that fear overcomes you, overwhelms you? When you're by yourself in your room, nobody's looking. What thoughts are going on in your mind, right? You know, you'll find this, I promise. Well, I hope you don't find them, but in a particular clarity, when you purify this fear is that nothing was ever separate to begin with. Like fear has this quality of being of separating you from others. And once you purify this one, then that separation shifts. All right, third one. The third great fear. The fear of losing something. The fear of not being good enough, or the fear of not having enough. Right? And this is a particularly nasty one, right? Like the fear of um right, walking around feeling like you're not good enough, that you're not worthy. It could be rooted in pride. It's one way it manifests. You know, if you think, if I were equal to every being, then I'll just be small. I won't be good enough. I won't have the skills. I won't have the love. People won't love me. I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy to receive. I'm not worthy. You know, oh, there's always someone better than me. This could be abandonment. I didn't think about that. Who's abandoning who though? Sarah's like, I don't know. Let's not go there yet. Right. So, right. It's like that you would fear that you won't have enough. You won't get enough. Right. I won't get enough love. I won't get enough care. They're all deeply related to each other, right? These are just categories. They're overlaps, right? They kind of nefariously interfere with each other too. So you can find them in each other. Like there's a relationship, of course. So one of the things is like if you say, you know, this idea that all beings are equal, right? How are they all equal? They're all equal because they're all coming from seeds, right? They all have emptiness, right? We all have these fears. We have all of them. But this particular fear goes, if I'm equal to everybody else, I won't have enough. And then you do all the things to be enough, right? Maybe you get a certain kind of pride. Maybe you're willing to hurt others so you can get there first. Like, I saw it at the pool yesterday. I was there with a friend of mine who's in the middle of a divorce, and just supporting and listening, and all these young girls came over, not just in the same area. And there was this kind of weird competition between all of them going on. Like, it was almost like each one was trying to gain the most attention from the people that were not in the group. Right? There was this posturing that was happening. Right? And there was this whole, it was bizarre. I was watching it. Like, first of all, there were like, it was really weird. Actually, now that I think about it, it's like even weird. Like, it's me and three other women helping our friend who's going through a divorce. And then these five other women show up. I'm the only man. That's weird. I'm just just now I'm processing. Sorry, I'm giving this example and I'm processing the, what the hell is going on. Right. And these other five women that came over, like probably they were, I don't know, it doesn't matter. But there was this weird energy from the five of them, and they felt like they were posturing, like each one was trying to be the most popular one of the group. And they were kind of like the way they were moving, and like, who's the most beautiful? Like, as a group, I was like, they're like, how would you decide? Like, if you were making a decision of who's the most beautiful, right? In this competition, I was like, it's like, that doesn't make any, like, it was just this fascinating moment, right? That they weren't seeing their own beauty individually. They weren't seeing how beautiful they were. They were competing with each other to be the top dog, right? Flying. It was so funny. It's like, I'm like, no, but this is what we do subconsciously, right? So, like, versus understanding that all five of them can get what they want, right? There's no need to be top dog. And I'm just kind of thinking about, like, wow, I was surrounded by like 8 dakinis. Like, what the hell is going on? Like, just, it was fascinating. It was, now I'm thinking about it. Um, right. And so basically, when you purify this, you find the truth. Like, the truth is that no one's above or below, right? Being the most popular person or the most beautiful person or the smartest person or the most successful person. Look, those things don't last, right? Like, what we define, I think I said this last week, like what we define as beauty, right? Like, the older you get, the saggier the skin gets. Sorry. Like, you can put as much cream as you want on your face and it's still going to get saggy. You're still going to get wrinkles, maybe slower, right? And then you still have to not get angry, because you could be the angriest person. You could buy the most expensive La Mer cream, right? And they still doesn't work for you because you get angry all the time, right? You could buy your $200 bottle of face cream and it still doesn't work for you, right? But in the end, we are all equal, but there's a fear, right? There's a fear of that, right? I won't have enough. All right, fourth one. This one's a good one. They're all pretty good. Fear of intimacy, the fear of having desire, or the fear of being overwhelmed by your own emotions. Right. And this is an interesting fear that comes up, like fear of being close to someone, the fear of having emotion, the fear of caring, the fear of loving. Right. And then the other flips, the corollary to this is also, if I love too much, I'll lose myself. Right. I've heard this one frequently, that, I'm afraid that if I love too big, I won't have a me anymore, which is absurd, of course. But if the loving too big is rooted in attachment, or rooted in any of the other fears, right? I love them so much that I'm willing to sacrifice myself, right? I'm willing to contort myself into a person that I'm not, so I can still love them, which is a fear of losing the love that you would be getting from them. And it has nothing to do with the love that you have towards them, right? But it's a fear of authentic vulnerability, fear of intimacy, fear of being seen. Like, it's actually very similar, but it's a little bit different. The first one is about the Buddha of appearances. This one's about discerning wisdom. Like, if you love, you might be rejected, right? Love cannot create rejection. Karmically, that makes no sense, but it doesn't matter. That's how we feel about it. Right? The whole point of Lojong, in my humblest opinion, is to get honest with the absurdity of our experience. If I love, I might be rejected. So it's better not to love. It's better to like hide in your house by yourself. It's better not to express your care for other people, or your desires, or your wishes. Yeah, that's better. Where does that lead? That just leads to more loneliness and separation. You know, and loving of others, and is also related to loving yourself, right? There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with your desires. There's nothing wrong with the things that you want. In parentheses, as long as you're not hurting others. with that, with that, you know, this is the universe I'm working in when I say that. But what happens when your desire does hurt someone else? Right. And that's where all these fears come up. Right. Like the fear of vulnerability, the fear of being seen, all these things together. you know Loving yourself. Love yourself for who you are, right? There's something for everybody in the world, don't worry. There's 8 billion of us. There's at least someone else who wants the same thing you want, statistically speaking. Just gotta go find them. That's why the internet's great. Okay. You know, but really there's these there's these deeper fears, right? And then on the other side of all of this, like, when you only communicate, like the core, like the purification side of this, you only communicate through the truth of love. you know through the wisdom that comes from insight, from your meditation, from your understanding of emptiness. I am limitless in my ability to create a perfect reality, right? But these fears hold us back. Like, imagine having the bliss of an open-hearted love, connection without clinging, appreciation without ownership. Like, each being's beauty is unique and is not mine to possess. May all beings taste the bliss of love without fear. Like, how beautiful is that? Last one, and then we're going to have a Q&A. This is the fear of failure, the fear of acting, the fear of making mistakes, right? If I try, I may not succeed, right? And this is deeply built into a lot of us, right? Yoda says there is no try, do or do not. There is no try, right? You don't try. That's the thing, is people don't try, right? Because you're just not trying is just essentially not doing, right? Because we're afraid of the results. We're afraid of what would happen if you tried. What if you just tried to have that uncomfortable conversation? You just did it. For some reason, on my Instagram feed, someone must have sent me a video of roller coaster rides. And so now, like, I watched two videos of people on roller coasters, and now they just keep sending me all these videos, right? It's like, the train's going up the hill, right? Higher and higher, right? And there's the anticipation of going over the edge, right? That feeling on a roller coaster when you get to the top and not wanting to go over the edge, like, there's always that feeling of, oh my God, I hope the ride breaks right now. So I don't have to experience this. Right. Actually, it'd be worse. It's actually worse if you had to get off the train and walk down the stairs, like, I don't know how high up they go. What, 50 meters, 70 meters, something like that. Right. That would be more terrifying. But the thing is, on a roller coaster, you committed to doing it by sitting down and putting the seatbelt on. You didn't commit when you were at the top of the hill, but that's what the experience feels like. Right. It's like when you get on a diving board, like a 10-meter platform, right? And you're standing there looking down 10 meters. And then, of course, the water below is like 10 meters as well. So you're looking down like 20 meters. Like, and how long do you stand there before you jump? That's this fear. How many people have gone up on a 10-meter platform and then turned around and went back down the stairs? I did. The first time I did, I just was like, nope, can't do this. Bye. right? And then I did it again. And then I stood up there for, I don't know, 15 minutes before I decided to jump off. What's the difference between jumping off 15 minutes ago and jumping off now? What's the difference? Just 15 more minutes of panic. Right. The mental torture of those 15 minutes for the same damn result. Right. You're in the water. You experience the fall. You know, that's our fear. How long did you wait to have that uncomfortable conversation? Because you were afraid you were going to fail. How long did you wait to start your passion because you were afraid you were going to fail? I've always wanted to be a painter. Then go to the store, buy some paints and do it. Why wait another 10 years? Oh, I don't know. We're just going to look stupid. Of course, it's going to look stupid the first time. That's why it's called a practice. I want to see emptiness directly. Okay, then go meditate. Well, meditation sucks. Okay, yeah, of course it sucks. It's the first time you did it. You're going to fail the first time and the second time and the third time. And if you're still here, sorry, but you probably were high tantric practitioners in other lifetimes and you failed too. Wah wah. Get over it. Amoga City, get over it. Just do it, right? Each step, just make a step. Now, it's of course it's a lot easier to me for me to giggle about it and just say, just do it, right? But if you think about it in terms of jumping off the diving board, the experience is going to be the same, regardless of how long you wait. But you can wait too long, right? You can wait too long. Do the thing that makes you happy now. Parentheses, as long as it doesn't hurt other people. Do the thing that makes you happy now. If you've always wanted to learn to play the piano, go learn to play the piano. There are lots of online tutorials, right? If you want to paint, if you want to hike, if you want to start a business, how do you start a business? Step by step. Just do the things, right? If you take one step a day in 6 months, you're going to be 20 kilometers down the road. You will be 20 kilometers closer, right? But if you don't take a step, nothing will happen. The third law of karma. If you don't do it, nothing happens, right? But the things that hold us back in this, right? Fear of failure can manifest in many ways. It can manifest as jealousy. It can manifest as resentment. It can manifest as competitiveness, right? I'm jealous of other people because they have something I don't have. So I'm not going to go get it myself. I can't believe those people do that. I mean, you ever hear people whine about other people? We're better than them because we don't do that. You're just resenting it because you're probably jealous, right? Or you get competitive or something like that, you know. But if your goal is to take care of all beings, you know, then you just do the things. Then you're not competing with others. You're not. You're just helping other people. Then you'll get the things you want anyway. And then you can see, when you look at other people, you can see anything you do for them to reduce these 5 fears you can see it as a gift and an offering. Like you're giving them something, you're giving them freedom from these fears. And I challenge each of you to look at Lojong through the lens of these five fears within yourself and also in other people. Like go write them down, create a little cheat sheet. I'm sure Anastasia will create something really beautiful and post it in all the chats because she does, because she's really good at those things. That's why, by the way, that's why Anastasia's practice is so good, because she's helping all of you. Get it? Take those five and just go sit in a cafe. Make it call it your date. Like it's your Lojong date. Go get your favorite matcha or espresso or sparkling water or whatever drink. And then just when people come in, watch their conversations, watch their eyes, watch their body language. You will see these five. Watch the staff, watch the employees. Look for fear of failure. Look for competitiveness. You'll see it. You just weren't looking before. All right. Questions? I know you have burning questions. Since no one, let's see here. Let's go with the first one. How do you apply Lojong as a leader? I would say, well, I mean, I think there's two things about leadership, right? Even just being a manager of people. One is you need to have the seeds for it, right? And one of the things about if you don't put a question in the public chat, I will not answer it. I'm sorry. This is a public class. Sorry. No private messages. Only production messages are allowed to be private. Um, being a leader requires you to have the seeds to be a leader. So one of the primary things, which is so freaking obvious that people forget, is that you have to be a good follower to be a good leader. You have to follow the leadership of others. So others will follow your leadership. And it's really, I mean, it's basic, right? But I think people, they struggle and struggle and struggle. And I'm just like, are, do you have a boss? Yes. Are you doing what that boss is asking you? Well, not, well, then shut up. Right? The reason people don't do the things you want them to do is because you don't do what your boss asks you to do, period. Right? Or you were like that in the past or something. Right. So, first of all, is, you know, that's the basics. That's the basics. But, look at, you know, look, if you are a leader, look at the people you're leading. They are your wish giving gem, right? You need them, right? They are the opportunity for you to plant tremendous seeds. All the things like take the loss, right? When your team fails, it's your fault. You don't go to your boss and say, yeah, this just because this is your question, Anastasia. Like, I'm not like, it's like, yeah, that project didn't work because, Anastasia didn't do her job. When someone does that to me, I'm like, I don't care what your staff member did or didn't do. This is your problem, right? You, and I don't mean that from like, honestly, like if you're the manager's problem is not the staff's problem. You hire and fire your staff. That's your problem. But it's more about taking ownership of the problem. Because if your team is failing, it's because you failed as a manager because that you have that one asshole in a team who causes problems. There's always one person on the team that is always causing a problem. It always happens, you know, and it's usually shifting. It's not usually one person. They're like, it's like one person for a month and then somebody else, you know. But it's leadership's problem. You take the problem on. That's low junging it. Like it's, you don't blame somebody else. You take that on, you know. So the first series of low jungs, the first the first two classes have really great advices, right, about what to do as a leader. I would look at those two. Also, look at the fears in your people. Like you're cultivating your team. Look at the goals that they have. I was in a business meeting where there was it's a startup, and the boss wanted to, it was like a consulting thing, and the boss wanted the staff to tell me what is it they wanted to, what was their passion and what did they want to do with their life. And not one person mentioned the job that they had. They talked about their passion in life. Someone wanted to open up a community center, right? Someone wanted to start a different type of business. I was like, this is the weirdest startup I've ever been in. Like, no one's talking about the business, right? But that boss wants to support their individual passions, help those people individually, and then your passion will survive, will come out. Like, don't worry about it. Where can you find the recorded classes? And they, okay, that's answered. What is the best practice to overcome the second fear? What was the second fear? D, 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 D. Second fear was the fear of no self. There's the most beautiful rainbow out my window right now. Let's see if I can show it to you. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it. Can you guys see? I'm not sure if it's showing up. It's,
No,
I'm sorry. Oh well.
in Denmark Mountain we have two.
It's just right here. Maybe the way to get over that fear is to understand the potential of the self. I'm sorry, this is ridiculous. No, we're not going to be able to see it. It's okay. It's meant just for the eyes. And that's the thing about the rainbow body, like the body of light that you eventually, that's part of your paradise body, is that no one can see it. And that's why you emanate. Like the paradise body, the Sambhogakaya is not seen by others. Other Buddhas can see it. So maybe the part of getting over the fear is understanding that the mind always will identify with something, right? So, and you can only see that deep in meditation. But I think part of the fear of losing the self and the fear of death is doing a lot of these practices. Like Diamond Way practice is about transforming birth, rebirth, and death, the in between, and rebirth. It's transforming that experience. And in fact, every experience is that. Each seed that goes off is like, think of it from the end point of view. Like the seed goes off, it stops, there's an in between, and then there's a starting. Like each moment right now that I'm seeing this beautiful rainbow, right? That's so cool, right? Is, you know, it just keeps going, right? Is there a rainbow there? 65 seeds a second, right? Start, stop, start, stop, stop, start, stop, start, stop, start. Right? And eventually that seed is going to wear out for now, right? If you can work in that space and understand how seeds are ripening, that's how you get over that fear. It's not easy, I know. How does it feel when you actually conquer fear? Liberation. That's what it feels like. Then you don't worry. There's no worry. When you see emptiness directly, one of the mental afflictions that you lose is, or it's a cessation, is doubt in the path. That you know that the Dharma is true. You know that the teachings on emptiness and dependence are true. Perfectly. The doubt goes away. Imagine what it would feel like to not have that doubt. That's an amazing meditation, actually. Sit in meditation and imagine yourself a being who does not have those doubts at all. Imagine what it would be like to be free from those worries. Freedom from fear. Right? There's fear. There's three fearlessnesses. So many lists of numbers of things. There's a certain number of fearlessnesses that a Buddha has, and I think it's three, maybe it's five. I don't know how many it is. Right. But that's the thing, is like, what would it be like to not have that fear? Try to imagine it. And the best way to not have that fear is help other people not have it. The family that lost their house is fine. No one was injured. So that was nice. So there's a question here about, I think this is a good question. Like, it's a lot easier to have compassion towards people who are suffering than people that don't seem like they're suffering. Right? They have everything they could possibly need. Right? They have everything. They don't seem like they're suffering, which they are, of course. But it's a lot easier to help people who have more obvious suffering. And at the end of the day, the people that are appearing not to suffer because they might have wealth or they might have a lot of things, they suffer tremendously when they lose those things. The people who have money don't like to lose their money, right? That's why wealth, what's the word? Aggregates, collects in people who are wealthy, and then it ends up collapsing empires. If you look at the history of empires, it's because the wealthy are afraid to lose their money, they lose the things that they have. And so the systems they create to support themselves collapse because they're not helping other people. Really good. If you want to learn about this in a very easy way, go read Ray Dalio. He has a great book called what the heck is it called? It's a book called How Countries Go Broke, right? How empires end, right? It's just missing a little piece, right? All those people are just like everybody else. They'll lose what everyone else, they'll lose it. What do they say in what is Francisco? What do they say in Star Wars? The only thing a Sith fears is to lose their power, something like that. Which of course they do, right? They lose their power because they consolidate power and take it from everybody else, and eventually they lose it, right? So working to see people as equals. This is the most amazing rainbow ever. I don't know why keeps going. um, like the gift that we can give is to treat people equally regardless of what they have or what they don't have, right? And then to look at why you're willing to help some people and not willing to help other people, and that's a kind of pride, it's a kind of judgment, it's a kind of jealousy. Now you don't have, helping someone who's poor and helping someone who's rich is very different. Like your actions will probably be very different. The rich people doesn't need anything that you have, at least materially, but they still are afraid to lose it, and they probably don't understand how they got it in the first place. So, all right. Let's see here. What do I want to do here? I want to download this. All right. Okay. Thank you all very much. These classes are fun. I enjoy them, obviously. We don't have enough time together. We never do. Um, but I challenge each of you to take all of these and really apply it. Like go out, go to your version of Peachtree Cafe and just watch people. Watch them. Like look for just watch, like start taking notes. Like how are people suffering? Where are their fears? What haven't you seen before? Right? Take stock of your own fears. Look at the ways that you hold back. That's what's preventing you from realizations. You know, and I hope that my words can help you get there. I can't do it for you, and that's the sad part. I wish I could. And this is the best way that I can try, you know, and let's keep going. We have so much more to do. We have ACI 15, then we have a year of review, then we have a year of Delam. Okay. Anastasia. So, you know, do the things. Like if you really want to engage the transformational power of these practices, you have to keep doing them. You have to just do it. Like take what you learned today and put it into practice, and just try. And it's not even trying, just do. But what if I don't know enough, Tim? You know enough. You know enough, you know. And that's how you build the seeds to be able to get the higher teachings, by helping other people. That's why I keep telling you to form study groups. I don't say things for no reason at all. Okay. All right. Thank you all very much. We're going to take a little break. We're going to come back for Lamrim. And yes, please wish each other well and say goodbye to each other. And we'll see you soon.
Goodbye. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Please
Thank you so much.
stay.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Muchas gracias a
Thank
todos.
you.
A todos.
Gracias, maestro. Thank you so much.
Дякую.
Much. Please
Thank
stay.
you so much for teaching. Please stay, please stay, please stay.
Спасибо огромное. Thank you, team. Thank you.
Thank you, teacher.